Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you all. Hope you had a great weekend. There's a lot of soccer and football going on all over the place. I'll introduce Mr. Sean over there, Sean Miller, excuse me, and Amedeus down in the bottom square. So, guys, reflections, anything that you picked up on over the weekend that you thought was interesting?
Yeah, they cheated the Wolves, man. They cheated Wolves.
Story of the weekend.
This is look. I don't know if you saw this, Jim. You know, during the game there. First of all, the shows the FA Cup. There's 32 matches, and it's a little bit unfair that the VAR is only used in Premier League stadiums because that's where VAR is used. So, there's this thing happens at Liverpool. They called the guy offside and they couldn't use the VAR because the cameras at Anfield didn't. It was at Anfield, right?
Yeah.
Cameras at Anfield didn't show the guy. I think he was onside. They showed it this morning.
You could see like the top of his head in the corner.
They called it because they said we can't change the call because it was called offsides on the field, and you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to let the play go, and it was a goal. The Wolves should have won. Now they have a replay. It's just everybody it doesn't help the conspiracy theories when you're trying to keep the defending champions in the league like this. Like over in TCU, Georgia can't pick a side. All right, yeah, we're gonna get to that. It's super dodgy. Here's give you the if you missed it, we'll go through all the results here, and then we'll go through the draw real quickly if I can pull this up here.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the second goal Liverpool scored was called onside when really, it wasn't offside. And it bugs me how Liverpool is always on the end of this because they had a goal taken back in their favor back in Champions League against Real Madrid for the exact same reason. The defender goes in for a tackle. And if you're going to go in for a tackle, that's a deliberate touch on the ball. And they ruled it a deflection. But yet this one was a deliberate touch on the ball. So, it's just they got problems. They got some big problems.
So, yeah, Manchester United won their match on Friday. Everton stinks. Here's the results here from
the weekend.
Yeah, it's going in order. You'd think it would go in order, but it doesn't. Tottenham just about won 1-0. Reading 2-0. I'm just going to go through some of them. We'll kind of scroll through here as we go through. Ipswich Town, Brighton and Hove won 5-1. I thought that was interesting. Some of the upsets came. Blackpool beat Nottingham Forest 4-1. Burnley, I don't even know if that's an upset against Bournemouth. They're probably better than Burnley. The game of the weekend was Wrexham, which is the star of that show. Welcome to Wrexham. They went up 4-1 and a man up and had to hold on for dear life, but they're in the fourth round here. Oh, Foxy.
Yeah, they got embarrassed. That was awful.
Sheffield Wednesday 2-1 over Newcastle.
And do you know what their problem in that match was?
They're not good enough.
Couldn't finish.
That's right.
So many chances, couldn't finish.
Yesterday, Manchester City absolutely demolished Chelsea 4-0. Chelsea's an absolute disaster right now.
They had 3 penalties in that match, didn't they?
Yeah, it was an absolute disaster. They had 2. They should have had a couple more. And then the result of the round, I think there, Stevenage, the second division team, knocking off Aston Villa, and both these goals came in the final. Dendoncker got a red card. they scored the penalty, and then Campbell scored in the 90 plus 1. So here's the draw for the next round. Let me see that. You got Preston North End versus Tottenham, Southampton versus Blackpool. Wrexham is going to host Sheffield United, which will be interesting. I know they wanted a big club, but Sheffield United is probably going to be back in the Premier League next year. Manchester United drew Reading again for like the 800th time in a row in the 4th round. It's like not even getting funny at this point. Derby County, West Ham. There's a couple. These are anything that has or Luton Town or Wigan is the replays. Forest Green Rovers or Birmingham City. So the big tie is going to be here, Manchester City and Arsenal. So they'll play on. Arsenal's going to beat Oxford United today. They'll play on the February or whatever, January 29th, and then 2 weeks later in the league. So twice they'll play there. So one of those big teams will be knocked out, which is good for United and the other teams. Brighton and Hove is going to host the winner of Liverpool and Wolves. That's a tough test for Liverpool, even if they get through. Fulham, Sunderland, which is interesting. So it's going to be some interesting ties here, I think, in the next round. But that was, the main thing for the weekend. But and then of course, there's the craziness in the NFL.
Yeah, you had a situation where a quarterback, Sam Howell, for the Washington Commanders, first pass in the National Football League is a touchdown. So, which hadn't happened since 1991. So it has happened, but normally that's not how it works. And if there was a team that looked worse than Dallas yesterday, wait a minute, let me stop for just a second. Worse than Dallas, excluding Miami and the Jets, then they did everything wrong. I mean, it's like they got off the bus, they were going to hurt themselves. Dak Prescott couldn't hit the broadside of a barn yesterday. They literally did everything wrong. And if that's what and then of course, the Bucs lose to Atlanta. You got Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, who have losing records in, at the end of the season. Brady goes to a playoff game against hosting Dallas, and, Packers go home. Crazy day of stuff. Jacksonville looked good in their win on Saturday night. There was some interesting stuff to look at. Right now, the Eagles with Jalen Hurts looked pretty decent, given the fact that he just stepped back on the field. So that could be good for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Amedeus.
I was just going to say, first of all, Jim, nobody ever looks worse than my Cardinals on any given day ever.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Second of all, man, the Dallas Cowboys just look like they're just doing what the Cowboys do. It's like they're gradually getting worse and worse each week towards the playoffs, and then I wouldn't be surprised if I see them fizzle out in Tampa Bay in the first round.
In the first 8 games of the season, they averaged allowing 18 points. I'm sorry, 18 points. Since that time, the back end of the season, down the stretch, they've averaged giving up 28 again. That's a trend you don't want.
Yeah, they went from like the number 3 defense in the league, and then, as you said, the second half of the season hit, and it's just like all downhill from there.
Yep. So they're limping in. The Giants didn't play anybody. I was looking for Keanu Reeves and the replacements to show up and play for them. Which shouldn't, look, I get the Philadelphia thing. You want to get Jalen Hurts some reps, but you don't want to hurt him. The Bucs rested everybody after the first half, which was interesting. And Miami doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. So there's that. I got to say, whatever the Pittsburgh Steelers with, who got off to a god-awful start, with Kenny Pickett leading the way, finished out the finished out the season 8-1, which was pretty amazing, and it keeps Tomlin's record going of never having a losing season. So they were playing really well as they were cruising into the playoffs, but they got knocked because the Dolphins beat the Jets.
Yeah, I think so. I think these teams. When you look at the standings here and the teams that didn't get in, the Patriots, the Jets. I mean, look, the Jets were 7-4 and lost 6 in a row.
Right.
The Steelers won 4 in a row, but were terrible at the beginning of the season, and they lost 6 out of 7. They lost to the Patriots, they lost to the Browns, they lost to the Jets, they lost to the Dolphins. They anytime they really, when you look at what they did down the stretch, they beat the Colts, who was terrible. They beat the Saints, terrible. They beat the Falcons, who are terrible. They beat the Falcons, who are terrible. Beat the Raiders, who are terrible. I mean, they won games that they were, against bad teams, but early in the season against bad teams, they didn't. So they're usually a second half team, but
in fairness, you should also remember that Mitch Trubisky started the first 3 games.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I agree. I just think sometimes these coaches err on the side of caution sometimes, and it ends up hurting them down the road. I mean, look, he'll be better for this next year, and they weren't. To be honest, they're not going to win a game anyway. Like they're not going to Buffalo or thing and winning a game. So it is what it is. I mean, you build for next year. The Titans lost 7 in a row. The Titans were 7-3 and lost 7 in a row. The teams that didn't get in, the Packers. The Packers all about their start. The Lions 9-8 didn't get in, and the Lions once again. I mean, they started 1-6.
Right.
They've been unbelievable since then, but you lost 1-6, and so they lost by 3 to the Eagles. They lost by 3 to the Seahawks, 48-45. There's your head-to-head. They lost by 4 to the Vikings. They got shut out by a bad Patriots team. They lost to a Dolphin. They lost to the Dolphins. So, down the stretch, and they lost to the Panthers, of course, which is the one. But, so the teams that didn't get in, I mean, you could go through and say, why didn't they get in? Well, this is exactly why. And, a team like Seattle that did get in, anytime they had a game, they beat the Lions head to head. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Giants. They beat the Rams. They lost 4 out of 5 in the middle there against the Bucks and the Panthers, but they turned it around. A lot of their losses were to decent teams, 49ers and Chiefs. And at the end of the season, when they had to do what they had to do, they did. They beat the Jets at home and they beat the Rams in overtime. So, they're going to go to San Francisco now. And, I think I'm sure San Fran wanted no part of the Seahawks because it's a division game and stuff like that. But San Francisco's better. But, some of these games here, the Seahawks are going to go into that game with like nothing to lose. So it's going to be interesting. And, I think the schedule is pretty interesting. I don't know if we've confirmed my point about how much I'll get to that, Foxy. Here's the playoff schedule, the actual times. And, Seattle opens with San Francisco at 4:30 on Saturday. The Chargers at Jacksonville.
That's a good one because you got the 2 young quarterbacks.
And I'm going to go. If the Chargers lose that game, that guy Staley's going to be fired. He should be. I don't understand what he's doing yesterday. The game meant nothing. Getting players injured. Miami Buffalo is the Sunday 1:00 game. I think everybody in the world assumes Buffalo is going to win that. Although the last time they played a couple weeks ago was a very good game. The Giants and Vikings. I think that's an interesting game. I think the Giants can win that game. Baltimore at Cincinnati is the night game, obviously division game, and then Dallas and Tampa on Monday night because everybody in the world thinks that Dallas is going to win, but I think Tampa has a chance in that game.
Yeah, the other thing too, the Cincinnati game with Baltimore is a rematch of yesterday's game. So only possibly with Lamar Jackson, possibly, we don't know yet, but
I would think Jackson goes if he's able to go. I mean, if he's anywhere close to if not, it might be his last. He might have played his last game for Baltimore. That's interesting because maybe the Cardinals go after him.
I would take him. Anything's better than Kyler Murray. Kingsbury's also done. I hear Vance Joseph's going to take over the job, but we'll.
The old Broncos guy.
I think he's our DC right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm still hoping for Sean Payton. Everybody's making such a big deal, like, oh, Sean Payton's gonna get interviewed by the Broncos. Obviously, he's gonna go listen to the interview, but that doesn't mean
everywhere and listen to interviews.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he has interest in the team. And then I saw another report that was like, oh, Saints and Broncos on the same page about compensation. Well, you know what? What the two teams want and agree on mean nothing unless the actual guy wants to go there. So
right.
Still gonna hold out hope for Sean Payton to come to the Cards because it goes. The list went Cowboys, Chargers, and then like Cardinals was like a maybe number 3. I didn't see no Broncos in there, so I'm still holding out hope.
Foxy has confirmed my point about how much we have overachieved so far this season. When you see our lack of squad depth, I can't really blame Hal rotating the whole team when we have quarterfinal tomorrow. See, Foxy, I kind of agree with you, but I think Newcastle could have won the FA Cup. That's a tournament, and I know you're trying to get top 4 and stuff like this, but you gotta try to take these trophy chances when you can. I know you're in a quarterfinal here, but that's when you draw Manchester City in the semifinal. If you get past the game tomorrow, it's going to be tough. So, Manchester City looming over that thing. But, you got to sign someone. You got to sign a 9. But obviously, it's looking harder than it is because Manchester City's scouring the earth to try to find one. Wow, Weghorst possibly. But, it's interesting. I think the football, I think there's going to be a couple. I didn't see the lines yet.
Today's Black Monday, so this is when normally coaches get sent out.
Here's the lines for the game. 49ers -10.
It's a lot.
I can't believe the Chargers are favored here. If this is a close game, that guy Staley is going to lose. He will blow the game 100%.
The worst loss of the season that the Chargers had was in Jacksonville.
Yeah. I think this, look, I didn't think Jacksonville was great in the first, offensively at all. The defense was unbelievable in the second half. The play they made to win the game, I mean, it was just all out pressure. So they're going to put pressure here on Herbert. Bills -11. I don't think anyone, if you watch that Dolphins game, thinks that the Dolphins have a chance in that game. That line could go up to 14. The Vikings.
What if Tua is back for that game? I doubt it, but
I don't know.
What if they clear him?
Might just only win by 7 or 8.
Yeah, I don't know. That was so bad. The Giants. I think the Giants have a chance in that game. The Jags and the Giants, I think the Bengals -6.5 and Tampa Bay Dallas is -3. I think Tampa Bay could win that game. Bill, we'll get to that as well.
Georgia and TCU.
The line right now, Bill, is 13.
It's a lot to get. I think Georgia can win. I do. I don't think, I think TCU's Cinderella story ends tonight, but it's going to be something because Georgia's played in a national championship game before. TCU has not. It's going to be out at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. The glitz and all the stuff that's going to go on. TCU is just going to be a little starstruck. I don't think Georgia's starstruck at all. They are mad because they, didn't play to their standards against Ohio State. So I'm pretty sure Kirby Smart's going to come win. Now, are they going to win by it was 13 points? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, 13.
That's a lot. That's a lot to give.
It's a national championship game.
I have no idea. That I will defer to you guys on that one.
I think it's a lot of points, to be honest. I would probably, if you can try to find Georgia to score over 37.5 points, as a team total, if you can find that somewhere, I would back that more than I would. I think Georgia's TCU's not stopping Georgia. They didn't really stop Michigan the other day. I mean, Michigan threw pick sixes and they were up and down the field. I mean, Michigan put up 45 points and really probably should have put up, 60.
Yeah.
So, if things don't go against them and they get, they're down to the 1 yard line on the first drive and stuff like that.
Bill, were you the guy that asked about the basketball information? Do you remember?
Bill asked about Notre Dame BC last week.
Right. The name of the book, and you can buy it. You can buy it online. It's Ken Palm, Palm, Ken Palm's basketball book. It breaks down every team in the Division I basketball. So you get more statistics and more information than you'll ever possibly need. But pretty much every handicapper uses Ken Palm's basketball book. And so if you need it, want it, you can get it online. And again, it's Ken Palm. So that's the name of the book. It's his book. Atherton's not bad, but they don't break it down anywhere near what Ken does.
Foxy. Sorry, Foxy. I don't know if Foxy's betting this game or not, but Amedeus, what are you taking a chance on this game?
It's an interesting one to me for sure. I kind of think George is just going to destroy TCU just because the line on this game opened up at 13.5. You had the Mattress Mac bet that kind of moved it down.
True. Yeah.
You had the Mattress Mac bet that moved it down to 12.5. But now it's back up to 13. And all I've heard all week is TCU. You got Mattress Mac dropping videos to hype TCU. All the public's on, a lot of early public money came in on TCU. And I'm going to take a page out of Joe Wiz's book here. What he said about that Georgia-Ohio State game on our watch party. If everybody in the world is on TCU, including Mattress Mac and his massive bet, then why is the line moved back towards Georgia? Something's fishy in this game. And honestly, it probably tells me Georgia just destroys them. Because like I said, I was skeptical last week with the Mattress Mac bet. And it almost makes me think that, he's not going to win every $1 million bet he plays. He got his biggest payout just a few months ago with the Astros. I think he loses one here. Maybe he bounces back in the Super Bowl a few weeks from now. But this is what I mean. Like he's due for a loss. And I kind of think Georgia probably just from the line movement, and it makes me think Georgia's just going to absolutely destroy them. It might be a high score, like a 60-40 game or something, but I don't know. I don't know if TCU keeps this one close.
How about Arsenal today to win to nil? Minus 103. Yeah, I think that's probably a decent play. Bill, our Arsenal's I don't know what lineup they're going to put out, but it's going to be defensively. I would think it's going to be strong. Foxy's talking about Wout Weghorst. Foxy, there's no nines available. I still think this is trying to pressure Atletico a little bit for Felix.
What about your Abubakar? Al Nasser just terminated his contract.
He's going to Besiktas, apparently.
Why is he going to Besiktas? That wasn't even one of the options.
Or where's Weghorst? Is Besiktas or Fenerbahce?
I don't think it's Fenerbahce. I watched the the Intercontinental Derby yesterday. That was a good one.
Wout Weghorst plays for Besiktas. So he's going to Besiktas to replace Weghorst if Weghorst goes. But now Besiktas is saying they don't want to get rid of him. Foxy, it's clearly like a loan, like a 9. It's a loan for remember with Igalo, they're just trying to bring somebody in right now for depth, I think. Obviously the sale's going to go through in the next couple weeks, maybe month. So they're just trying to bring a stopgap in, just to kind of they're just trying to bring somebody in to play a 9. They're playing all these extra matches. I think he would probably play in a lot of these extra games. They're obviously going to play Garnacho, maybe in Rashford in some of the big games. But we'll see. I mean, look, it's just a stopgap at this point. They're getting loans. They clearly don't want to buy anybody because the new owners might want to go in a different direction. I mean, I think you see that with the NFL now here. I mean, you see these, the new owners, Besiktas. Yeah, they're trying to terminate him, but they won't let him. Dele Alli, his career is just absolutely falling apart. There's a lot of rumors around why. It's actually not rumors, but I don't want to speculate on here. But like, he just kind of fell off. I mean, they don't want him. And Everton's like, we don't want. You got to keep him. You got to keep him, bro. You signed him on loan. So
don't send it back to us.
Yeah, we don't want him. Just keep him and sit him on the bench if you want. But yeah, no, he's been terrible over there. So, but yeah, it's just a stopgap. I think I mean, they're just trying to get somebody in. Plus, he's Dutch. I think Ten Hag knows him. So, I'm not reading too much into it. They just need somebody. They need a body.
Tell me, Foxy, how do you feel about your team making top 4 this year, getting into Champions League next year, and then getting Ronaldo on loan?
I hope that happens because he would absolutely tank that team.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. You watch. If Newcastle gets into Champions League next year, Ronaldo's coming over on loan.
I'm not sure this is tough, man. I mean, look, they just screwed Manchester United. They put one of the makeup games right in the middle of City and Arsenal. So United, let me just see if I can pull this up. Is their schedule now. So they have Charlton, then City, then Crystal Palace, then Arsenal, then Reading, and there's going to be possibly a EFL semifinal in here somewhere in here. Then they play Palace twice in 2 weeks, which is ridiculous. And then there's going to be an FA. Then there's going to be another semifinal in here somewhere. Then they play Leeds. Then they play Europa League. Then they play Leicester. Then they play Barcelona. Then they play Brentford. Then they play Liverpool. Like they just absolutely, fans wouldn't allow it. Zero chance happening.
It's happening. Get used to it, Foxy. Go. You better start printing the Ronaldo Newcastle jerseys now.
Yep. So they kind of that United got if you start paying Ronaldo wages, it causes an unhappy dressing room. Would be a way how it's not up to Eddie Howe. That ain't gonna be up. But yeah, it's something where I'll be interested to see if Newcastle finishes 4th, 5th, 3rd, 6th, where they finish. Foxy, if we have to peg you down right now, what's your guess? What place do they finish? 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th? I'm assuming they're not finishing 1st, and I'm assuming they're not finishing second because they're not going to finish ahead of City. So where do they finish? Third, fourth, fifth, or sixth? If I had to take a guess right now, my top of the table will be City, Arsenal, Manchester United, Tottenham, Newcastle.
You said that with like it was like pain in your face. Saying
I'm just trying to look. The problem, with Manchester United now is, they have these. They got to get something out of these games with Arsenal and thing. I mean, you can't start to fall back. Although everybody plays everybody again, so it's whatever.
You got your win against Arsenal. You don't really need. You don't need to beat them.
It's just weird because Liverpool every week plays like a bottom. Like they never. I feel like Liverpool plays Wolves 4 times and Everton 4 times, and they never play City or Arsenal. So Liverpool, every time I look at the Liverpool fixtures, they're always playing bums. So, oh, look, wow, they have decent games against Brighton and Chelsea. Then they play
really
Wolves.
those I guess those are decent.
Wolves, Everton, Newcastle, Palace. Oh, there's a tough game. Bournemouth, Fulham. Oh, there's a tough game. So, Liverpool has City and Arsenal back to back, and I think that's right in the middle of a Champions League. I think it's right in the middle of a Champions League. Quarterfinals are 11th and 12th. So they play. That's assuming. Don't worry about it. Liverpool's not going to.
I was going to say, are they getting to the quarterfinals?
That doesn't really matter. But maybe for I was thinking maybe for City or something like that. But yeah, no, it's not even going to be a bother for them. So I'll take 6th with European football next season. Right? Is that's what you believe though? I don't know. I think they're gonna. I just think they're gonna regress towards the mean a little bit. You see this, some of these teams, West Ham over the last few years, playing well. I think they're gonna see a little regression towards the mean, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I think your pain face said it best though. If not Newcastle. If not Newcastle, tell me who's finishing 4th in this table.
I don't know.
Be a team other than those top 3.
That's what I like. That's the thing, man. That's what's making this is what's driving these Manchester United fans nuts. If they went out and bought if they just got Felix on loan and one other they have the squad to finish 3rd or top 4, and then you're in the Champions League. And if they're in the Champions League with Dubai coming in, they're going to be getting anybody they want. They're going to be getting anybody they want anyway, but they're going to be able to draw these players. The same thing with Newcastle. If Newcastle finishes top 4 with the Saudis in charge, even with the fact that they have to live in Newcastle and outside of Newcastle, they're still going to get players to come in because they're going to be able to sign these, they're going to be in Champions League. And then when you're in Champions League and you're Newcastle and you can bring extra squad players in, all of a sudden you keep staying in there and then you keep building and keep building. And that's what happened to Manchester City. Once they became, it took them a couple of years. Once they became a Champions League team, they just build and build and build. And then you win a title and then it goes from there. But, you have to, and then they've always been in. Until you get into that top tier, though, you could have all the money in the world that you want. You're not getting, you're only still getting a certain level of player. Some players only want to come to play at Newcastle. Had Man U Friday, last minute penalty save. Yeah, Bill, I like that. That was a good play. I thought that they were going to probably, Everton stinks. I'm trying to fade them a little bit here.
What was De Gea doing when he gave up that goal? What an absolute donkey.
Yeah, no, I can't wait till he goes, to be honest. Hopefully he goes.
Couldn't believe it. I was like, how do you let that happen? Really?
If Foxy, if Guimaraes or somebody gets hurt, or maybe one of your defenders, Kieran Trippier or something like that, I think maybe you're in trouble. 3 or 4 signings this window. Spurs will finish the season well once they're out of the Champions League, as Conte is a 1-game-a-week manager. Yes, I agree. However, I do, when you look at the Champions League, Tottenham's playing AC Milan here. So, I think for both teams, if one of those teams gets through, I think one of those teams gets knocked out, could go on a run in the league. One of those teams that goes through, you're playing again. I mean, I think, if Tottenham goes through here and then gets, a Bruges or a Benfica or an Eintracht Frankfurt or an Inter or Porto, they could be in the semifinals. So, that could hamper. I mean, really, we want Tottenham to kind of, if like as a Newcastle fan and a United fan, we want Tottenham to stay in the thing as long as possible because, like you said, if they're in the semifinals, getting ready to play a 2-legged semifinal at the end of April there, when you just showed these dates here, the semifinals are May 9th and 10th and 16th and 17th. So, that's like far into the season, April 11th and 12th, 18th and 19th. So, and that's, you gotta, it's pretty deep into the season. So even if they get to a quarterfinal, they're not even going to be out until, the 19th of April. So, and they're still in the FA Cup. So yeah, look, I think you want Tottenham to stay in these cups as long as possible if you're a fan of teams like that.
Well, I think you'll get your wish because these Italian teams are atrocious right now. Story of the weekend in Italy was top tier teams just absolutely collapsing. Inter Milan collapsed late against Monza, one of the worst teams in the league. I watched Lazio give up a 2-goal lead to Empoli. They had done that in Lecce, the game before that. So first 2 games back now from the break, blown leads in both. Watched my AC Milan control the game for 80 minutes and give up a 2-0 lead in the last 5. So
that's the problem.
Juventus with another 1-0 win on a last 5-minute goal.
The guys from Paramount Plus were just, beside themselves in that result for AC Milan. They were basically going, how does this happen?
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, that you got a team like Inter that, beats Napoli's first loss, and then you go out and you can't consolidate that. And then Napoli goes and wins. I mean, you look up now, and once again, I mean, Napoli finally loses, and they have a 7-point lead. And how about Juventus is in second place right now? They're all the way up in second.
But man, they're doing it in such a they're 2 wins coming back from the break. 1-0 against Cremonese. They almost gave up 3 goals in that match. Scored on a free kick in the 90th minute, and then 2 days ago on Saturday, it was Juventus. They literally, I think it was the subs that scored an 85th minute goal. It was unbelievable. I couldn't.
The interesting thing about Juventus there is, look, if they finish the season in the top 4 in the Champions League, which they probably will, it keeps the machine going. I mean, they're going to be able to spend some money and stuff. So, if they ever finish 6 or it's like Atalanta right now. If they finish like Atalanta's been Champions League, Europa League, Champions League for so long. And now if they drop out, they're going to have to probably sell. I think we talked about that last week. And, you see a team like some of these other teams, it's really hard. I mean, you got to stay in there. So
who do you even sell if you're Atalanta? Pasalic?
That's the problem. I mean, you look at they had this, they've been hanging on. They're like the Phillies and the Phillies won the World Series in 2008, got back to the World Series in 2009 and lost, and held on to those guys for too long. Howard breaks down, and all of a sudden you're 10 years in the wilderness. Like, it's hard. You got it. You have to, if Benfica's really good about that stuff. Benfica, the Portuguese team.
That's understanding when, when your star players are starting to wane.
Yeah, you can't.
They may still have a year or so on them, right?
But yeah, Tampa Bay the baseball team is right. They're masters at that. They get rid of these players. They're always, and people say, oh, they're getting rid of Ian Snell, Cy Young. He goes to the Padres. You think like they're good at knowing that stuff and when people are going to decline. It's also a money thing, but these teams, you have to know when to sell and cash in and buy younger players. When you're not owned by an oil state or a
millionaire.
Yeah, one of these guys, or you're not, you don't have the TV money as much. Some of the other leagues, down the table a little bit, like basically everyone outside of the Premier League and maybe Liga. You have to time it correct. Napoli's, if they win the league this year, they're going to sell. Osimhen will go and they'll sell these players, and maybe they'll drop down a little bit. But then they'll if they get $100 million for Osimhen and some of these other people, then they'll be able to rebuild the team with 4 players or something.
Well, that's the thing with Napoli is they weren't expected to be good this year. And so, yeah, if they go on to win the league, then I could see them selling pretty much like their whole team because you basically got an overachieving season.
Oh,
little freeze frame there from Amedeus. Technical situation here this morning. One of the wonderful world of broadband, you never know what's going to happen right in the middle of it. But I think he was getting ready to talk about some of the stuff that might be sold. Foxy, what do you got there? I was looking forward to Mexico injuries starting, and then a few games postponed, violence, and arrest from a couple's son. Yeah, that's never a good thing.
Yeah, it's the Atlas and Toluca postponed. Mazatlan and Leon postponed. Fox is talking about how he's looking forward to the Mexican League starting, and a couple games got postponed because there's riots, a lot of red cards in these games, 3 red cards in 7 games. But yeah, I do. That league just started here again, so they play the 2, the Apertura and the Clausura. So yeah, Foxy, I do. I think as you're in the same time zone as us, I like those Saturday night games, Sunday night games. It gives you something to watch at night. If you're a soccer fan and obviously a football, better and stuff. So yeah, it's something pretty good. Hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, looks like it's chaos, but maybe just you can't arrest Chapo's kids there. You're gonna get it's crazy. Geopolitical stuff. We don't want to get into too much geopolitical stuff here on the show, but it's the Western Hemisphere right now between Brazil and Mexico is a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, once again, I mean, I think there'll be those games will be on. But yeah, I think for the Italian teams, I don't think Juventus is going to win the league, but they've only allowed 7 goals. So that's interesting. Today, yeah, look, Bill, once again, I think Arsenal wins a nil is pretty good. You got the EFL, the 2 EFL Cup games tomorrow, Manchester United and Charlton Athletic, Newcastle United and Leicester City. You got Inter Parma and the Coppa Italia. That's back. The Coppa Italia will be back this week. There's some interesting games. Ligue 1 plays on Wednesday. When they're back and you look at that table, PSG is only leading by 4 points over Lens, and Marseille is in the third spot. But there's some pretty good places, and then obviously the race at the bottom is pretty interesting. With Angers is going to go down; they have 8 points, but Strasbourg has 1 win. But a lot of draws. So, yeah, there's a lot of different stuff coming back this week, a lot of cup games. They won't – the FA Cup, the schedules won't be set for the FA Cup until Wednesday night or Thursday morning, until they see who's in the semifinals there. There's Ken Palm. Look there's a lot of different things coming up. And obviously you got the NFL playoffs. And tonight you got the last game of the college football season. So
yeah, a lot of soccer coming back this week. But if you're looking for a Bundesliga, you'll have to wait another 11 days.
Chelsea's buying Matty Cash from Aston Villa, who's a backup right now to 100-year-old Ashley Young. I don't understand what Chelsea's doing. This guy's people are like, you can't they just like throwing this cash around like crazy. And it's like, it's scattergun. And they were terrible. They have nobody that can score a goal. Like Kai Havertz is not a 9. They just keep spending money. And it's just, first time Real Madrid played a starting 11 with Spanish players. Yeah, look, you can't trust those guys. You can't. The reason Real Madrid's been so good. I know Tchouameni's he's a little bit hurt here. So, they with 0 Spanish players. Sorry, yes, very bad loss. But they don't have a lot of Spanish players. Asensio and stuff, but he might not sign. Yeah, look, then that was a terrible loss, though. You get right back into it, 1-1, and then 2 minutes later you're back down 2-1. You can't when you're fighting to tie the game, fighting to tie, and then you finally tie it up. You can't go down 2-1 2 minutes later. You just can't do it because then you got to fight back again, and just they're not going to give you 20 penalties, so.
Well, the other thing too, like you said, it takes so much energy out of you to fight to get to that 1 goal. And then you've got a little bit of self-confidence, and then you're down again.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go again. How much do you have left in?
I think soccer more than anything else is like that. You just see that. I've seen it 100 times. You're just fighting so hard to get back in the game. You get the goal, and then 2 minutes, 5 minutes later, you get the goal again, and you're just like, you're not winning. You just know at that point you're not winning the game because you're not going to fight back and score 2 more goals. Like you just have to, when you get that lead, you got to they always talk about the 2 minutes or 5 minutes in soccer. You always say that 2 minutes, even in high school, like down to youth level, the 2 minutes after the goals, you have to concentrate. You have to focus because the other team's going to come back at you. You're a little bit like, yeah, we scored. So your focus is going a little bit. The other team is mad because they just get a goal. They're going to come back at you. So, it's always that 2 minutes, that 5 minutes. You have to get through that period. And you see, if you watch the games, you see like the ebbs and flows of the games. Sometimes, Manchester United against Everton, they Everton gets that goal, and then United gets the goal right after halftime to go up 2-1. And then the confidence comes back, and then they're playing, and then they get the late goal. But, when you're especially when you're playing against teams that are struggling, you don't want to give them any hope. You just get that lead right back, take the lead. Now they have to fight. They're a bad team. They have to come forward. And that opens them up, and then you start going at them. So, when you're always trailing, especially when you're playing a team that's a little bit down the table, you're always just fighting to get back into it. You have to, when you finally get that tying goal, you have to go out then and just keep going, keep attacking.
Yeah, it happened in the Genk. I don't know if you watched. If you watched Genk yesterday, it happened to them. It happened to Club Brugge anyway. They scored in the 20th minute. 3 minutes later, Genk ties it. Genk goes on to win the game 3-1.
Yeah, you have to keep that. You just have to.
The old saying, you have to keep the pedal down.
Yeah, you have to just, you have to keep the momentum, and you just don't want to let these teams back in. Yeah, you see you get that goal, and then they let him score right away. Then Genk takes the lead, and then 5 minutes later, a red card, and the game's over.
I think there was even a disallowed Club Brugge goal for offside right before that.
Right before they scored, right?
The red card right before the red card. So it was like Club Brugge was this close to tying it. It was clearly offside though. It wasn't like a bad call or anything. Right. And then like 3 minutes later, frustration builds up. One of the players did a really stupid tackle. Gets sent off. Done.
And then the game's over.
Yeah.
And that's the way to go.
Even my guy, like Tejan Buchanan, was trying to calm him down, but all his teammates were pushing him off the field.
Right.
He was refusing to get off the field, and his teammates at this point were literally pushing him, get off. You screwed up. Get off the field. And then even they showed him walking down the tunnel. He kicked the door in, and the guys following behind him had to fix the door.
Oh man,
he was on an absolute rampage in that one.
Well, and then you're out of your head, right? And the players are out of their head because they're trying to think what's going on. Meanwhile, the other team says, "While you're doing that, I'm going to go score a goal."
Exactly.
Yeah, look, you have to. You gotta have to. That's the other thing. After red card, you just have to look. It happened, like he's saying. We got to just consolidate. You see them usually sometimes pretty quickly. They'll make a sub. They'll bring the tackle player off, and they'll put a defender on. And
well, there's always that 3 to 4 minutes of jailhouse lawyering that is being done by the guy who gets the red card. Right? He'll go back to the official and explaining. I didn't really mean to do that. I got my foot stuck here. It's like the whole routine. And by that time, you're wasting time.
Yep. Yeah.
And gaining nothing from it.
They're not going to change the call, especially with that, because it was a second yellow and it wasn't straight red. So sometimes they'll switch the straight red to a yellow, but they have VAR for that now. But so
and then you screw yourself up
from you begging.
Yeah. And it's I don't know, it's nuts. It's totally nuts. And I think people forget, you were talking about soccer being different because you are perpetually in motion. There's no timeouts in soccer. There's timeouts that occur, but not called timeouts. So you keep running back and forth, and at the end of the day, you can if you expel so much energy to score a goal, and then somebody goes back and does it on you, then you got to look up and go, again, here we go again.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think that's a big part of the focus after someone scores a goal and not giving it up, because in these other sports, basketball and football mainly, you see it a lot where teams driving down the field, or a team just went on an 8-0 run on you, and you call a timeout to slow the momentum down. Can't do that in soccer. You can't just I need 2 minutes to talk to my guys. No, there's no doing that. It's get out there and hold up.
In college basketball, there are 4 media timeouts per half, and they come at dead ball situations. And I can't tell you how many times after the game's over, where when I used to do the basketball, that the coaches would send somebody to the truck afterwards to say, you guys screwed us up big time because we were on a 10-0 run, and then dead ball went out of bounds. You went to a commercial break, and you broke our momentum. And it's like,
what are you
know,
gonna like? That's the rules. Like it's on TV.
right? You know, if you don't want the money, then fine, that's your problem. Call the commissioner of the league, but don't. But I mean, you're right. You can in football and baseball, even you can make a mound visit. You can baseball, but you can't make a pitch visit in soccer. It's just you're running up and down, and chaos is supreme. And you're looking around, and as a coach, Sean, when you've got stuff going on, can you make in-game adjustments as a coach in a game?
I mean, yeah, if you want to make a sub, you can change the formation stuff.
Right.
You have limited subs. Obviously now it's 5, but you have limited windows and stuff. So you have to be strategic about it. But yeah, I would change up. Obviously, if you're losing there in the last 15 minutes, you're gonna go a little more attacking and stuff. So, but yeah, you definitely can, but it's harder to do just because of the flow of the game. So,
That's it. And it does. I mean, you're only substituting one guy, like you said, or maybe 2, but you're not going to substitute a entire wave of people.
Yeah, no, you can. you can make it triple sub and stuff, but sometimes you see it. It just you're struggling. It's 0-0, and you just say, look, we're just gonna make. We're gonna take off this guy. The other team has no. You see it with City a lot. The team will have no possession and they have no threat. So you don't need 2 holding midfielders or something like that. So sometimes they'll say, "We'll take off a holding midfielder and push that up." I watched the Lions-Packers game. This was the last game I parlayed with Lions +4, and I really thought Packers would win. Is that Rodgers finished now? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think he'll probably come back, but
He told Jameson Williams wanted his jersey last night, and he told Jameson Williams, "I need to keep this one."
Wow, maybe he is done.
There you go. It's possible. I mean, there is a time for everybody. Everybody's got to figure out
I
ways.
think he'll be done. I think Brady will be done. Brady will go into the broadcasting. Rodgers, who knows?
He'll go into
the hippies, so he could be, he could open up a mushroom farm or something.
Hey,
like that.
maybe Brady, Rodgers, and Terrell Owens can all team up together and on their own NFL team take over a team.
Yeah, yep.
Sean Payton.
Only 40-plus-year-olds. They'll pull Whitworth out of retirement.
No, yeah, they'll be in the XFL.
The ageless wonders. We'll get Deshaun Jackson in there, who was just cut recently.
It's funny. I saw Deshaun practice, and he still had some pretty good speed. I mean, he could go.
Well, that's what Terrell Owens was saying. He's like, I ran a 4.5 in the 40-yard dash. I worked out with Deshaun Jackson in the offseason. I just want to try out. That's all I want. So,
well, if all you're going to do is get 3 targets a game, maybe that'd be all right. But I don't think I don't think these teams who have, like today, right? As I said, the teams that didn't make the playoffs. There's the 53 guys plus the practice squad. They'll have their exit interviews, and most NFL teams turn over 25% of their roster. So there's going to be some guys in each one of these locker rooms that aren't going to be wearing that jersey, whether it was fair or not fair or whatever. They just won't be there next time. It's just the way the league works, and so we'll see how it kind of plays out. I can tell you right now. Anybody interested in Carson Wentz, you're going to have an easy time getting him. And probably the same could be said of Mitch Trubisky in Pittsburgh. That those were things they tried and it ultimately failed. But it is what it is. It's the way the game is played, and it's the same thing in soccer. I mean, you have players that you get back and players that you don't, because they choose to go someplace else. I saw where they're FIFA's capping the amount of money an agent's committing.
That's good. I think you got to do that now. It's
At 3%.
that Titans quarterback. What's it all about? Feel like watching old Newcastle performance. It's their third string guy.
Right.
So Tannehill was hurt, and then Malik Willis was hurt.
Right.
I actually thought they kind of the play that caused them the game. I mean, first of all, the Titans line stinks, so they weren't given a lot of protection. And when they took the lead, you saw him like running, like he was running for 10 yards at a time, and I'm like, why didn't you just call that play on when the fumble return happened? Like they didn't really help him. But Foxy, it would be like if you had your third string keeper in there to be, or not even know. It's maybe not even that because he's such a big part of the game. I mean, I thought he did a pretty decent. Like he was pretty decent. He kept him in the game. I mean, he's not
going to lose the game for them.
Yeah, he's your third string guy, so he's so far down the list. I mean, and he actually had him to the point where they really and the Titan they stink. He actually had him to the point where they could have won the game. So I thought he did all right. They didn't help him at much, but the Tennessee team I think is they're done. I think of that division. I think Houston now with the quarterback they're going to get. If I don't know, they're the second pick now, so they're either going to get they might get Stroud, or maybe they go a different way. But I think Houston and Jacksonville in that division are on the way up. I think the Colts and the Titans are on the way down there. They're both kind of getting old. So it's like having Chris Woods backup up front. Like it's like
Veghorst
Wilson
is what
Chris
Foxy.
Wood, and then
We'll see.
It's like having some U21 kid up front, to be honest, because he's not. It's almost like that. Like you just throw some kid. Sometimes you get lightning in a bottle, but sometimes it's like, they didn't really. But look, to be honest, the Titans lost this division a long time ago. They were 7-3, and they just fell apart. I mean, but they're just not good enough. So
that's 2 years in a row.
Yeah, they last year they won the division. They were the
number one seed.
They were the top seed, and then they lost in that first game. But they just they're not explosive enough. It's the same thing as the Cowboys sometimes in the playoffs. Like the Chiefs are good in the playoffs because that guy Mahomes can just score whenever he wants. Like the Bills, Allen can score whenever he wants. So those are the teams. The Chiefs, the Bengals, or the Bills are coming out of the AFC because they can score whenever they want, like at times. So one of those teams is going to – in the NFC, it's probably, the 49ers just because of the defense, and they can they can score now when they want as well. But, the Eagles, when they're healthy, same thing. You have to be able to put points up. So the teams like the Titans, if you're trying to win with defense in this league, you're not doing it now. Everything's about offense. So –
well, and the other thing is you can't get threes when you go into the red zone.
Yeah, you got to get touchdown.
And they kicked a lot of field goals. They missed a lot of field goals too, but they kicked a lot of field goals. So there you go. All right, tonight TCU and Georgia. We already talked about that game. Any other games going on today, guys, that are worthy of consideration?
Man, just Arsenal, Oxford United. The others, I don't even know what else is on today, to be honest. It's a little bit of a late schedule. There's a couple Serie A games. Bilbao plays Osasuna in Spain, but it's a little bit of a late day. The German league will be back soon, and
2 weeks.
Yeah, crazy. That's the worst marketing decision ever. That nobody cares about that league to begin with, and now nobody really cares about it.
Everybody's back. We got cup matches and league matches back in every league, and I'm still waiting for Bundesliga 11 days from now to start.
Well, and next week is it this weekend or the derbies?
Yeah. Huge games. Manchester United plays City, and you got.
El Clasico, I think, is coming up.
That's the 19th of March. I'll be at that, hopefully.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. I hope we can try to get over there for that. You got Fulham. You got here's you got the game today. You got the two EFL Cup games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You got Fulham and Chelsea. Friday you got Aston Villa and Leeds. Saturday you got the game. United and City, Brighton, Liverpool.
Oh, there's Arsenal, Tottenham too. I think
Sunday is Arsenal, Tottenham, Newcastle, Fulham, Chelsea, Crystal Palace. Tuesday is all the FA Cup replays. Wednesday you got Crystal Palace and United. Thursday you got Manchester City and Spurs. Like the Premier League is doing it the right way here. I mean, they just there's a break Friday, then there's games Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, it's just never ending. So yeah, Romeo Beckham. He signed for Brentford B. He did lead MLS Next Pro in assists. I will say that he was their midfielder.
He's not very old.
No, he's 20. Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
I doubt that he's gonna play for his father.
His father hopefully is one of the front person for the Middle Eastern bid for United. So maybe.
So he's
Beckham will be I would think Beckham will be the front person for any bid. That's what I've heard. So.
Is that a good thing or?
Oh yeah, no, it's Okay. It's like it's the same. It's like those people for the Newcastle that sit in the stands, like Amanda Staveley and stuff. Like I mean,
he doesn't
have whatever percent. I mean, it's whatever, but they're the people that.
But what I'm asking is, he doesn't have a say in the roster. Is what I'm asking.
Oh no, I think he might. He might have some say in some stuff, but because obviously he's David Beckham, so I think you might, but not huge.
He's just the pretty face of the team.
You need a proper director of football. They're going to get that guy Edwards, I think, from Liverpool. So they'll have a proper director of football and stuff like that.
There you go. All right, it's come to that time, guys. I don't think we have any questions left.
Nope.
If you want the basketball book, I misspelled it at first, but now that's the actual spelling.
Yeah, Ken Palm.
And he does other sports as well, but basketball is college basketball is the one where he made his bones from a very thinking. His knowledge is good, so check it out, and then we will see you tomorrow. So for Sean Miller from Amedeus, I'm Jim Williams saying have a nice day, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow at 9 Eastern time right here. Okay, until then, be well.